Trinidad and Tobago Trinidad and Tobago, officially the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, is a twin-island country situated off the northern edge of South America mainland, lying 11 kilometers just off the coast of northeastern Venezuela and 130 kilometers south of Grenada. Bordering the Caribbean to the north, it shares maritime boundaries with other nations including Barbados to the northeast, Grenada to the northwest, Guyana to the southeast, and Venezuela to the south and west. The country covers an area of 5,128 square kilometers and consists of two main islands, Trinidad and Tobago, with numerous smaller landforms. The two main islands are divided into 9 regions, and 1 ward. Sangre Grande is the largest of the country's 9 regions, comprising about 18% of the total area and 10% of the total population of the country. Trinidad and Tobago lies outside of the hurricane belt. The island of Trinidad was a Spanish colony from the arrival of Christopher Columbus in Indiana 1498 to the capitulation of the Spanish governor, Don José María Chacón, on the arrival of a British fleet of 18 warships on 18 February 1797. During the same period, the island of Tobago changed hands among Spanish, British, French, Dutch and Coolander colonizers. Trinidad and Tobago were ceded to Britain in 1802 under the Treaty of Amiens. The country Trinidad and Tobago obtained independence in 1962, becoming a republic in 1976. Trinidad and Tobago is the third richest country by GDP per capita in the Americas after the United States and Canada. Furthermore, it is recognized as a high-income economy by the World Bank. Unlike most of the English-speaking Caribbean, the country's economy is primarily industrial, with an emphasis on petroleum and petrochemicals. The country's wealth attributes to its large reserves and exploitation of oil and natural gas. Trinidad and Tobago is known for its carnival and is the birthplace of steelpan, limbo, and the music styles of calypso, soca and chutney. Trinidad and Tobago is one of the most biodiverse nations in the Caribbean and has a wide variety of flora and fauna. Trinidad is also home to the Banweri Trace site, which is the oldest archaeological site in the Caribbean. Etymology. Historian E. L. Joseph claimed that Trinidad's Amerindian name was Iere, or Land of the Hummingbird, derived from the Arawak name for hummingbird, Ieret or Yererit. However, Boomit claims that neither Keri nor Keri means hummingbird and Tukuzi or Tukuchi does. Others have reported that Keri and Iere simply mean island. Christopher Columbus renamed it La Isla de la Trinidad, fulfilling a vow made before setting out on his third voyage of exploration. Tobago's cigar-like shape may have given it its Spanish name and possibly its Amerindian names of Alubarera and Europena, although the English pronunciation is Tabio, rhyming with plumbago, sago, and mago. Geography. Trinidad and Tobago are islands situated between 10 degrees 2 and 11 degrees 12 N latitude and 60 degrees 30 and 61 degrees 56 W longitude. At the closest point, Trinidad is just 11 kilometers from Venezuelan territory, covering an area of 5,128 square kilometers. The country consists of the two main islands, Trinidad and Tobago, and numerous smaller landforms, including Chacachacare, Monos, Huevos, Gaspar Grande, Little Tobago, and St. Giles Island. Trinidad is 4,768 square kilometers in area with an average length of 80 kilometers and an average width of 59 kilometers. Tobago has an area of about 300 square kilometers, or 5.8% of the country's area, is 41 kilometers long and 12 kilometers at its greatest width. Trinidad and Tobago lie on the continental shelf of South America, and is thus geologically considered to lie entirely in South America. The terrain of the islands is a mixture of mountains and plains. The highest point in the country is found on the northern range at El Cerro del Aripo, which is 940 meters above sea level. As the majority of the population live in the island of Trinidad, this is the location of most major towns and cities. There are 4 major municipalities in Trinidad: Port of Spain, the capital, San Fernando, Arima and Chaguanas. The main town in Tobago is Scarborough. Trinidad is made up of a variety of soil types, the majority being fine sands and heavy clays. The alluvial valleys of the northern range and the soils of the east-west corridor are the most fertile. Geology: the northern range consists mainly of Upper Jurassic and Cretaceous metamorphic rocks. The northern lowlands consist of younger, shallow marine clastic sediments. South of this, the Central Range fold and thrust belt consists of Cretaceous and Eocene sedimentary rocks, with Miocene formations along the southern and eastern flanks. The Naparima Plains and the Nariva Swamp form the southern shoulder of this uplift. The southern lowlands consist of Miocene and Pliocene sands, clays, and gravels. These overly oil and natural gas deposits, especially north of the Los Bajos Fault. The southern range forms the third anticlinal uplift. It consists of several chains of hills, most famous being the Trinity Hills. The rocks consist of sandstones, shales and siltstones and clays formed in the Miocene and uplifted in the Pleistocene. Oil sands and mud volcanoes are especially common in this area. Climate: the climate is tropical. There are 2 seasons annually: the dry season for the first 5 months of the year, and the rainy season in the remaining 7 of the year. Winds are predominantly from the northeast and are dominated by the northeast trade winds. Unlike most of the other Caribbean islands, both Trinidad and Tobago have frequently escaped the wrath of major devastating hurricanes, including Hurricane Ivan, the most powerful storm to have passed close to the islands in recent history, in September 2004. In the northern range, the climate is often different in contrast to the sweltering heat of the plains below, with constant cloud and mist cover, and heavy rains in the mountains. The temperature is much cooler. Record temperatures for Trinidad and Tobago are 39 degrees Celsius for the high in Port of Spain, and a low of 12 degrees Celsius. Biodiversity: because Trinidad and Tobago lie on the continental shelf of South America, their biological diversity is unlike that of most other Caribbean islands, and has much in common with that of Venezuela. The main ecosystems are coastal and marine, forest, freshwater, karst, man-made ecosystems, and savanna. On the 1st of August 1996, Trinidad and Tobago ratified the 1992 Rio Convention on Biological Diversity, and it has produced a Biodiversity Action Plan and 4 reports describing the country's contribution to biodiversity conservation. The reports formally acknowledged the importance of biodiversity to the well-being of the country's people through provision of ecosystem services. Information about vertebrates is good, with 472 bird species, about 100 mammals, about 90 reptiles, about 30 amphibians, 50 freshwater fish and at least 950 marine fish. Information about invertebrates is dispersed and very incomplete. About 650 butterflies, at least 672 beetles and 40 corals have been recorded. Although the list is far from complete, 1647 species of fungi, including lichens, have been recorded. The true total number of fungi is likely to be far higher, given the generally accepted estimate that only about 7% of all fungi worldwide have so far been discovered. A first effort to estimate the number of endemic fungi tentatively listed 407 species. Information about microorganisms is dispersed and very incomplete. Nearly 200 species of marine algae have been recorded. The true total number of microorganism species must be much higher. Thanks to a recently published checklist, plant diversity in Trinidad and Tobago is well documented with about 3,300 species recorded.